The following content has been provided by New St. Andrews College in Moscow, Idaho. For more information, visit us online at nsa.edu.
Hear the world calling, but son, don't you listen. They're only trying to drag you back into prison. That's right.
We showed up one more time. It's What Have You. I'm Rachel Jankovic.
I'm Becca Merkel.
And we're back.
Not
night.
Not only are we back, we're back on our old...
On the back side of Walmart.
on the overlook.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
we
But there was
kind of-
someone up all the way up there, so we had to come down part way.
Yeah, but we're sort of lurking in the dark on a hill.
Yeah. It's a Sunday night meeting. Again, not our most mentally agile time.
No, but it's still early. We've got some brain power left.
Do we? I hope.
Well, we also have caffeinated beverages, so
We'll
see.
We're giving it our best shot. That's what we're doing. So what have you been up to?
I don't know. It feels like a big giant blur, and I also feel like all of October is pressing upon me right
October
now.
is coming fast.
I have so many things.
Speaking of October, though, this week we're flying to Fort
Yes.
Worth for this conference, and we
Yes.
never do this.
We've
And
never done it.
totally unprecedented that we're doing
I'm not even
this.
sure how we're gonna cope.
I don't think my family is prepared for this. The kids are just like, it's so weird
It
to
is
have
weird.
you go somewhere, because I always say no to traveling.
I've been
so.
trying to figure out. I have to have the food, left behind so that they can sort it. Not that they can't, because they're big kids and everyone's, capable, and Ben can fend for himself. But I'm trying to leave them food, But meanwhile, Ben has a trip this week too, before mine. So we're doing this weird
relay
marathon
handoff
thing. So I was trying to plan my menu, and it was so weird because I've got like nights where Ben's not home,
Like,
and then
forget it. We're gonna have
nights
cup
with-
noodles all week.
I know nights with away volleyball games where they have to be packed for that, and then
Yeah,
I'm gone, and then it's weird. It's weird stuff.
kind of a mess.
I got through my whole weekend without having laid a single tile, so that happened.
Congratulations.
That happened. Yeah, and
So Moses is going to turn 2 this month, and he really raised his game on us.
it's almost like they know that they're turning two.
He's so magical. No,
Yeah.
he really
It
is
is a
like,
definite
he is
moment.
like the sweetest kid. He's really not, well, I mean, he has
He
his
is.
moments, but he's
But
really
he's
sweet.
Mr. Sparkle.
But Saturday was like, we woke up to the sounds of the potty being splashed in. That was how...
That's a good sound.
That was how we awoke. Not little fingers splashing in the potty. He was stirring it violently with the Clorox, the Clorox wand. Yeah. Just like beating the sides of the toilet and splashing water everywhere. And so I'm like,
Love it.
stagger out of bed to be like, Moses knows this. That's what we always. So we're always saying Moses knows this. I was like, come out of there. And he's like, okay. Like, he's just totally fine with it coming out. He comes out, we clean him up. And then not very long after this, we hear him just singing. And it was the cutest singing. Like, and Luke and I both paused to admire how cute the singing was before we discovered that he was singing while marching on the top bunk of someone's bed. Which was super not safety first because of like wadded up blankets and not nearly enough safety up there. So we get him down, and then I think it was this was all like in an hour probably, and then he colored all over the top of my laptop with multiple colors of Sharpies.
This is why you shouldn't own Sharpies until all your children are in the double digits.
He even has been saying, Momo, love Sharpies. And then he said, and then shortly after that, he took off a dirty diaper.
Excellent.
Which he alerted us by going, ew, ew, ew. Like he didn't. That was not a painful, it could have been hideous and was not. It was just trouble. Then he got back into the potty again. And then he was like up on the counter getting bananas out. And then he went, I just looked out the kitchen window and saw him marching up the front sidewalk with the dog. Neither of them should have been in the front yard. So basically, I feel like forget baby wearing. I need to be into toddler wearing because you can't let this child out of your sight right now. He's got a plan.
Well, I have not been in that phase for a while.
Well, weirdly, I felt surprised by it also.
Because Judah is turning 13 this month, and he's my baby.
Well, what you are is out of practice.
But you know what? This is so much the phase that I feel like I was in for just endless years.
30 years, yeah.
But, Judah, I ran across this picture the other day, and it just killed me. I'd forgotten, but it was Thanksgiving, so he was basically exactly Moses' age, because he just turned 2, and it was our first year in England, and so I was determined that we were going to have Thanksgiving dinner the way it was supposed to be, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, never do I want to have sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top, ever.
But then you did.
Except for when I'm in England, and then it feels like a blow for patriotism or something, that, like, I must have mini marshmallows. I don't even like it at all. And we never ate it, but it just
doesn't
felt
matter. Like, we never even ate that famous, the French's
the bean
casserole, but you could see yourself getting out to do that. But at the time,
it was kind of like Old Glory and the mini mushrooms.
You mean the cream of mini mushrooms?
The cream of mini mushrooms. Yeah, and it was a big journey because the thing was you couldn't buy canned pumpkin and you couldn't buy corn syrup and you couldn't buy.
Train wreck. They're not equipped for this holiday.
It was not something that they have on their radar, you know. And so I was
the losers they are. They don't. That's a joke. That's a joke.
For
just
all our English listeners.
We have our British friends here who are always incredibly patronizing about the 4th of July and such. So
but see, the thing was, we did invite some lovely friends over for Thanksgiving, but they thought it was the 4th of July. So they didn't think it was the 4th of July, but they thought that this was our, like, this is, we're Americans. And it was like, oh no, we were British when we first started doing this one. We didn't have you over to rub it in.
This was before that whole trouble with taxes.
That whole thing.
That whole trouble.
Anyway, the point is I was in that particular mood that, like, we must have things the way they must be. And I had made all the apple pies the day before because I had this tiny little oven and I was trying to get all the stuff through. And of course you have the turkey and, so I had the pies all out on my counter and I woke up early the day of Thanksgiving and I don't know what made me, I had a premonition. I went running in to the kitchen and there's fat little Judah who's sitting on the counter up on top and he has eaten the top off of all the pies. He didn't even confine himself to one. He just ate the top off them all.
What'd you do? Whip up a crumb top and
I shoveled apple pie into all the kids for breakfast, threw it away, and started over. I was like, we're going to have apple pie. But I just remember his glistening little face just covered in sweet, sticky
So I forgot that at Sabbath, the same day, that when everyone was, like, finding their seats, we're like, where is Moses? Like, we couldn't find Moses anywhere. So, of course, we're looking outside because you look in the most dangerous places first.
Right.
There were a lot of people there, so it was hard to tell if he was, like, lost in the crowd or if he was outside. And so Luke's outside, and I come in, and then I was like, Mom and Dad's bedroom door was shut, and I opened the door, and
he had Sharpies.
He was in there. No, he was in there coloring on the front of Mom's handbook to prayer with a highlighter. And he closed the door behind him. So
for a little privacy.
It really is like anywhere and everything, and he's at it.
We had so many Sharpie incidents that I just
stopped counting.
I stopped having Sharpies as a part of my life for many years.
I might be about to have enough Sharpie incidents that I do that, but I've made it through 6 children with Sharpies in the house, and it's possible that I might make it through 7. But I might also give up with Moses.
Well, see,
he's showing a real ability with
Knox
the Sharpies.
was 4, and he could write his name when he was 4, but he was still taking naps. He was in that magical moment of, like, so, and for whatever reason, the baby was sleeping in one room. Oh, I didn't turn off my ringer. The baby was sleeping, so I put Knox down for a nap in my bedroom. And then I remembered, after having put him in there, like, oh no, there was a Sharpie in there, like on top of the dresser, there's a Sharpie. And then Knox strolled down the stairs later after his nap, and I had said that to Ben, like, there's a Sharpie in there, oh no. And Ben goes, hey Knox, did you color on the sheets? And this was because there had been a previous incident where Knox was napping in our room, and he had, with a ballpoint pen, he was also in a constellation phase. So he had drawn the Big Dipper on our sheet.
It's so appropriate. Nighttime, the stars, the Big Dipper.
It was like the Big Dipper, and then the North Star labeled.
I wish you saved those sheets.
And so anyway, that had happened previously, so Ben was like, did you draw on the sheets? Because, he'd been in trouble for that the last time, and he was like, no, I didn't. So we were like, all right, good. Anyway, we finished the day, have dinner, put the kids to bed, and it was not until Ben and I strolled into our bedroom when it was time for us to go to bed that there across the velvet pillow sham it says Knox in a great big Sharpie font right across the front. And so then, of course, the next day he was called to account, and he was like, that's not the sheets.
I know.
I did not tell a lie, and we're like, you are just George Washington himself. Cannot tell a lie.
Oh, my word.
I know.
So
Anyway,
good.
I think it was sometime after that I thought, I don't need Sharpies that much.
Oh, there's so many things like that. I remember the shock when I realized that, like, we would just put everything up high in our house all the time, and then the shock when you realize they can actually get it.
Yeah,
like, they just pull a chair over, and they're, like, up there, and you're like,
I know.
no! You shouldn't be able to reach anything that's up here. This has got to still be out of your... Yeah.
I know.
Moses is industrious, though. He's like, he wants to contribute and help, so... A lot of the time he unloads the dirty silverware from the dishwasher and throws it all over the clean silverware in the drawer. And so you'll catch him like on his tiptoes pulling the drawer out and just fistfuls of dirty silverware back in. And it doesn't really doesn't really speed me up with what I get done.
No,
but
but
he's good.
It is awesome.
Yep.
It's a funny old phase of life.
Yep. So
it's always the things you didn't tell them not to do that they think to do.
Yeah, so now we have been singing all day. My kids have a new favorite hymn, When the Roll is Called Up Yonder.
Oh, funny.
Because they didn't know it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't know When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, but then we sang it. We had Grandpa's 90th birthday party at Sabbath last night. And we sang some of his favorite hymns, and my kids were all like, I love that song. And I guess they didn't know it, which was kind of funny. Yeah.
That's good. So, well, we've covered the reminisce.
Okay, somebody asked a question.
Portion.
Somebody asked a question on Facebook that I said we would talk about, and I forgot to bring up.
Okay.
And now I probably should have looked it up, except for I'm not sure if I can find it. But the question was basically the balance for Christian parents in sheltering your children. Like, at what point is it not a good thing that you're sheltering your children? I think this was specifically saying if you're bringing your kids up in the church and at Christian school or homeschooling or all, and
all the allegations of the Christian bubble.
Yes, the other people who would say you're sheltering your children too much, or this is unhealthy,
sure,
or they'll never be functional in the world, or whatever. And what I think, I guess I would say, we do really shelter our children, but
let's just say that there is a legitimate way of sheltering your child
into irrelevance.
Well, into irrelevance, or into they have zero immune system, and so the first time they're exposed to anything from the world, they fall for it hook, line, and sinker, because they've never...
Yeah. Well, I've said this before, that it's kind of more like a picnic shelter, where you're not in the rain, but it doesn't mean you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not wet, but you're also not aware. It's not like you're totally unaware that there is rain outside. Like, that's not the goal with our children, to keep them. And part of the reason that's not our goal is because sin is all over in the world, and it's also in our hearts. So, for all the sheltering you do of keeping them away from the world's sin, you still have your own sin plant available.
You just keep talking on that theme for a second while I Google the verse that I'm trying to think of, and I can't quote accurately, so just speak on that theme for a moment.
Okay.
So that I'm not irrelevant here. In a second.
Enjoy your Google. Your Google.
Keep circling.
Okay, so
keep circling.
This is like, it's like I'm on a run and I got to a red light, and so I'm prancing on the corner. Keep it more.
Or like on a bike when you're trying not to put your feet down.
Oh, it's so much more awkward.
Wobble, wobble, wobble.
So
okay.
I guess the point that I was trying to make is that it's not like keeping our children away from the horror movies of the world will therefore keep them away from sin. Like, and that's the thing.
Well, that's the thing, because
that's the thing. It doesn't mean, though,
it's full of infectious
right.
sins.
But then there is the Christian, the other side of this ditch is that parents who are like, sin is a commonplace in life, so we don't try to protect our children at all from the world's sin, which is also a problem. Like, oh, we have no entertainment standards because sin is in the heart of man. And you're like, right. And one of those sins is just amusing yourself on other people's sin, which is a problem. I guess we do not like, we were just laughing. Our daughter has a number of friends, you know, with on phones or who are on Instagram or Facebook, and we joke that we just told her, she thought this was hilarious. We said, maybe when you're all grown up, we will consider buying you a graphing calculator. That's yeah. She thought it was hilarious. She got a good laugh out of that.
I have a verse.
All right, read it up.
All right. Since you died with Christ to the elemental spiritual forces of this world, why, as though you still belong to the world, do you submit to its rules? Do not handle, do not taste, do not touch. These rules, which have to do with things that are destined to perish with use, are based on merely human commands and teachings. Such regulations indeed have an appearance of wisdom with their self-imposed worship, their false humility, and their harsh treatment of the body, but they lack any value in restraining sensual indulgence. I don't know what version that was, because that is not the version I know of. But
you reading the Message again, Megan?
No, I don't know what it is, but I just clicked on the verse. But they are of no value in mortifying the flesh, basically. Like, all these rules that people can impose, like keeping everybody away from everything, and we're going to keep everyone protected, they are of no value in, what's the version I know of? Indulgence of the flesh. Like,
right.
It actually...
You can do all your own sinning without tapping into
right. And
those
so
things.
I think that there's a kind of white-knuckled parenting where you're scared that your child will be tainted by sin, so you
right.
And you think that all the sin comes from outside, so if only I could keep all the sin away, then they'll be okay. And the thing is those are of no value,
right?
When it comes to that, because all the sin burbles up from within them.
Yeah. So one thing that we do work on, like that I think of as a helpful paradigm, kind of, is that there's no way that we can protect our children from the filth in the world, right? Like, from all of it. Like, I mean, there will come a time when they will run into something that appalls them. That will just happen. Like, there's no real way for us to, but we do not try to maximize that. We don't.
Well, yeah, like,
we
why
don't
would
drop
you?
them off to go scroll through, say, all the red box selections,
no.
or we don't let them on the internet. We don't let them look for anything anywhere. Basically,
well, I do. My
on
kids
the
are
internet.
older. Anyway,
Your kids are older, and our kids occasionally. But the point is, we don't allow much. Just they don't go into places where we would be likely to run into horrible
Let's back
things.
up, like, big picture. Our kids are all in a Christian school, and there's, like, absolutely no chance that our kids would be in the public school. Like, no chance. And that's because we don't feel like throwing them in over their heads in that level of, well, just debauchery that they would have to handle. And that doesn't mean that there's not sort of moments where they're on a team with a bunch of non-Christian kids or, that kind of thing. But big picture, yeah, we keep them in a Christian bubble as far as that goes. On the other hand, like we said, sin is everywhere because sin is wherever the people are.
Right. It's like the thing about it is that when your kids are young, what we want for our kids is not to keep them away from, curse words or to keep them. That's not our main.
Do.
Yes, I know. Let me back up to make that clear. That's not our main goal. Our goal is not to keep, because the heart of man could make up its own curse words that could be figgy pudding, and that's what your kid says when they mean abominations. my point is, you can't keep them away from that kind of thing. The point is, when they're young, we are trying to feed them so much nutrient dense things that they just love the Lord and they come to love the light. And what I mean by feeding them is, I mean teaching them, admonishing them, disciplining them, bringing them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, so that they actually know what real fellowship is, and they learn on the really little things that aren't going to ruin your life, what sin and the consequences of sin are. And they learn very important concepts on little things. And then, Lord willing, as they get older and as they are more and more exposed to things where, just because now they can read and they're in line at the grocery store, they see something, there are things that you can't keep them from running into at some point. And the hope is that they will just know the light. They love the light and they don't love the darkness.
But also, I think it's important to note that we are preparing them to go out, because we think that they need to go out into the world.
And we need them to be, Dad always says, and I think it's so good that he said there's a real difference between raising children who disapprove of sin and raising children who are disillusioned by it. And he was saying that you don't want your kids, say your kids see, I'm trying to think, I'm so out of touch. Who would be a artist that they would be tempted to think was
like a musician?
Yeah. Well, the only people I can think of is say, why?
Someone from the 90s.
I know, I'm like,
Hootie and the Blowfish?
Not that long
they
ago.
Might find Hootie and the Blowfish.
No, not that long ago. Lena was like, I don't even know some of this music that most of the, that a lot of the kids in my class talk about. And so she's like, why don't we listen to the radio? Because we just had not really talked about this. And I was like, oh, I'll show you why we don't listen to the radio. So we just looked up most popular music videos right now and watched a couple of them. And it was like, she was mind blown by the stupidness of it. And I was like, yeah, that's why we're not watching it. You know what I mean? Like, this is just not worth it. We don't listen to this music. And anyways, the reason, what was I even going to say about that? I was trying to say that, I'm trying to think who's an artist. Say your child saw, I don't know, Katy Perry, or I only now am thinking of this because I saw on the cover of a magazine, Miley Cyrus, like you've never seen her before. I was thinking, oh really? Is she being ladylike? Tell us more. Has Miley Cyrus done something surprising? It must be putting some clothes on and acting like a lady. Because we've seen everything else. But my point is, if your kids see that kind of thing, we want them not to just be disapproving. Where disapproving is better. Disapproving is better than just approving, but that being disillusioned, like we want them to not believe that she's happy. We want them to not believe that this is a road to a glorious life. Like we want them to be disillusioned with the lie that is so much of this. So that's a different thing than just saying, oop, that's bad, tisk, tisk, tisk. But like, I'm also not interested in that lie. Like I can't be fooled by this.
I think the thing is you want to get your kids to the place where the sort of the lies of the world, I don't want to say are powerless, because they're always going to be
a thing.
They're going to have to resist. But you want it to be defanged, sort of, before you want to be training your kids so that when they encounter it, they have an immune system.
Yeah,
Because
so that
it's
they
like-
actually are not that vulnerable to the suggestion.
Right.
Yeah, they're
and,
like,
and sometimes we have seen Christian kids who are raised in an incredibly scrupulous,
incredibly
uptight
strict.
home, strict,
Yes.
keeping all of the music in the only classical genres.
They probably only wore
And
white
then-
socks that never got dirty.
Probably, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then the first time the kid like gets out of the house and sees Hellboy,
First thing
the
you
movie,
know,
and he
they're
was
like
like,
spending the
"What?"
weekend at the casino.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
You're like,
they fell hard
You're
as
like,
soon as they got
how?
out.
How did you not know that this was gonna be no fun?
Right.
Like,
And so the thing is, like, you don't want to do that where it's like now the first time any sort of a virus comes past, they fall into
they
a
snap it right on out.
deadly illness.
I know, right?
But at the same time, why would you like want to send your kid out into the world with no immune system when they're tiny? Like,
Yeah.
so
Be
the whole
wise.
point is like trying to prepare them, teach them, disciple
But
them.
I will say one thing is that many, I believe. So here's an example. Most all parents, I think, would say that they want their children to be able to stand up to peer pressure. Right? Like,
Well,
I don't want my
I
child.
think that
to
pagan
be-
or not, everyone wants their kid to be able to stand up to peer pressure. It's one of the things
But
that
that's
we all
one
know.
of the well-known phrases of things we hope for.
Yeah.
But how many moms do you know who are great at standing up to peer pressure? And what I mean by that is I will have moms be like, I really want my kids to, to be able to stand up to peer pressure. And then someone says, can your daughter come over to play? And their instinct is that this is not a good idea. Like, this is, I don't actually feel good about that. But they are way too stressed out about the
Yep.
social awkwardness
Yep.
of saying no. And
Yep.
and they want their child to stand up to peer pressure, and then they will not stand up to it to protect
Themselves.
their child.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and that is just embarrassing. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like I have done my fair share of embarrassing saying, we're not really into that, or I'm not gonna, like,
Or I'm sorry, our kid can't watch that movie.
right, they can't stay
no,
for that.
they can't come to the party.
They're not doing the class party
No,
because
they're
we
not
don't
gonna
actually
do
think
the
that
lock-in.
hanging out at your house is a good idea. Or we're not going to do this. Like, this is what we're not doing. Or
Although we might not say it in those words.
I didn't say that. Never said that to anybody. My point is, you do have to be awkward
Okay,
sometimes.
I have to. Okay, just,
And I want to say one good idea for people you can be comfortable with your kids hanging out with, like a good judge of this, is if your kid came home and said that the other kid did something nasty or if something came up, is it someone that you would very comfortably tell on their child
Yeah.
and handle it with the same standards? Or would it be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Can I just, there's a couple things that reminded me of. And the first one, maybe we've already talked about this. I don't think we have, though.
I'm pretty sure we have, but
No, I don't think we have. But anyways, that's not what we should talk about, is whether we've talked about it.
Becca, you explore that
We've
topic
gotten
some more by
into,
yourself.
like, a metaphysical wormhole here. Okay. So, no, here's the thing. You were just saying, like, about saying no to various,
standing up to
play
the peer
dates.
pressure, yeah.
The play dates that you're like, I just don't feel like that's where I want my child.
Or this doesn't seem like a fruitful endeavor.
No. Now,
Maybe
that
for
just
no good
reminded
reason.
me of this. But here's the thing. Our kids, all of their life, and this is how it was when we were growing up too, we would tell our kids, well, that girl, your friend, whatever, the girl in the class, she's being foolish. This is why. This is why we have a problem with the way she's acting. Now, I know a lot of other Christian parents who feel like
That's
that's
mean.
gossip. Like, you can't talk like that. That is
It's like,
so
you're not
gossipy.
gossiping. You're teaching.
And the thing is like when you tell your kids, like, do you see that boy over there? Do you see how what's going on there is really wrong, and this is why, and his parents aren't handling it, and here's what
Right.
that's going to do? That's what the whole book of Proverbs is. It's like a father saying to his son, see that boy? You see where he's walking?
Don't be lazy like
you
him.
You see
Don't
that
be
lazy
like that.
kid? It's like, you see that boy walking up to that woman's house?
Yeah,
you see
that's
what's
gonna
going to
go
happen?
bad. Yeah.
It's like, and so that it's funny to me when I've heard parents act as if
we could never
that's
mention
gossip.
this. Yes, yeah.
Because that is not gossip. That's
No.
just teaching. And the thing is it would be gossip if you were sitting around at home going, doesn't she look so bad? I think she's put on weight. Did you see what she was? That's just
you're
unhelpful
saying
gossip.
it is possible to gossip
Of course you could
with
gossip
your
with your children.
but this is not it.
No, and the thing is I think that it's like the healthiest thing in the world to say, yeah, okay, you see the way she's dressing. This is why we have a problem with that. Do you see the music that he's listening to? This is why we're not going to go there. And all of that, I think, teaches the kids to analyze, to be able to look around and do it. And so you don't always fill your kid in on all the details. So, like, there were times when, like, I remember once somebody invited one of our girls over, and she was little, and it was one of those ones where they kind of just gave you sort of a creepy vibe of, like, the dad was one I would not trust anywhere near my children. Like, it was just kind of like, holy cow. Of course, you're not going to tell your 7-year-old girl.
Well,
like, you may not go
bad
there
thoughts
because
about
I
their
think
dad.
that dad is no, of course
don't
not.
do that.
You just say like, no, I don't think we're going to do that. But you work on it at that level. So when our girls were little, it'd be like, okay, the girl who's crying every day and being a drama queen. Mm-hmm. This is how you need to handle her at recess. The drama llama.
We call them. It's gotten so much of a thing at our house that we'll just say, I'll be like, so-and-so, were you unkind? They're like, yes. I was like, person B, were you being a llama? And they'll be like, yes. And we're like, okay, handle it like Christians.
I like when the slang works its way in.
It's a bit of a llama.
Our kids, when they were little, they made up this little thing. I think they made it up. I'd never heard it anywhere else. They would say, there's liar, liar, pants on fire. They came up with bragger, boaster, you broke the toaster. And so...
It's such a good one.
So anyway, that one worked its way into the Merkel lingo. So every so often...
Isn't it more like...
well, Ben...
Someone broke the
Ben
toaster.
will go like, boom, what was that? He's like, broke the toaster.
It's so good. It's just so good. One time Blair came into that. One of our well rehearsed proverbs is "Let another praise you and not your own lips."
That one is quoted at us often as children.
And Blair came in. This is years ago now, but she was awesome. She was like 4 probably. She came upstairs in just this glorious dress-up costume that involved like a poncho and a shawl and a cowboy hat. Like it was real good. And I have a photo of her. And she came up the stairs and she said, "Mom, do I look beautiful?" And I was like, Blair, you do look beautiful because you are beautiful. I said, but let another praise you and not your own. And she said, outfit. So now that one, it's always, let another praise you and not your own amazing poncho outfit that you've come up with. So good.
Yes. But anyway, I just think like teaching your children by looking at others as examples, you don't want to teach them to be malicious. But because you want to teach them to be wise and discerning.
But you're not only teaching them to be wise and discerning. This is a problem if you don't do that. If you don't talk about other people ever with your children. One of the problems with that is that you're also not teaching them how to have compassion and how to be kind and how to be like, there is a lot of time where pointing things out with other people is very helpful in you seeing your own behavior. You know, like years ago we had one of our girls had one of those helpful ambassadors of conflict in their class. one of the girls. Oh, speaking of the embassy, we have a vacuum.
Oh,
and
the chief
speaking
executive
of my ambassadorship, since I brought that up,
is the embassy well vacuumed now?
It is. So, anyways, the point is, she had one of these girls in her class who would go around and do things like, "I need to tell you something that you cannot tell, since it's a very important secret. You cannot tell Lena this thing. So make a big to-do about the secret, and then, whisper in someone's ear. And then that person would be like, I know something that I'm not allowed to tell you. So it would be like the entire day of everyone keeping a secret from you. And the secret was probably that they were going to have a play date together or something. And probably someone's mother said, don't talk about it at school. And then that's how it came out. But when your kid has a hard time like that, what's super not helpful is being the mom who's just like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe they would treat you like that. I can't, whatever. That is also a major teaching opportunity. Because we were like, well, here's how you're going to handle it. A, no acting like a moth to the light. Like, there's a secret. You're not interested. Go away. Like, do not be controlled like that. And then we would talk about that. We ran different scenarios of what would you do if someone said, I want to tell you something that you're not allowed to tell anyone else.
Right.
And it's like, would you be tempted to become the security guard to the great secret? And they understand that. Like when you talk through all the scenarios, you say, yeah, that was unkind and that's a foolish behavior. And these are the ways that I want you to recognize that you may be treating other people like this.
Or,
like, this is how you need to see your own behavior could very easily be like that. Like, you just be kind and let it go and let love cover it.
Let's say that somebody's been unkind to your kid at school or wherever. Somebody's been unkind. One thing that would be unhelpful in the extreme is you just entering into it with your kid. Like, oh, you poor thing. That's so sad for you.
Rock bottom.
No, terrible. Like, don't pet that little thing. Help your kid out of it. It's
Dad's proverb. Don't pet the sweaty things and don't sweat the petty things.
But the thing is like, if you have a kid who's been hurt, then that's your chance to say, okay, what does the Bible say about when someone has been unkind to you? How should you respond?
Let's talk about how you manage yourself in this situation.
Surprisingly, the Bible has much to say on that subject.
Guess what? And the only person whose behavior you can control is your own. So handling
the one thing the Bible does not say to do is all gather around and bemoan your hard times all together.
Or become huffy.
Yeah.
Become
huffy.
Petty.
Anyway, so that would be one bad thing. And the other bad thing would be to be like, you know what, you're out of line to talk about that. Don't gossip.
No, yeah, you got to talk through it.
You have to acknowledge, like, okay, that's a big pain. I am really sorry that happened to you. That is the pits, and here's the problem. We have to deal with it now that it happened. So let's figure out how we're going to do it. Like, you want to be sympathetic and everything, but you also want to, like, actually help them.
Well, one of the things I'm always telling my kids is that, like, this difficult thing that you're learning right now in the 3rd grade or in whatever grade, this hard little people problem, is something that many grown people have never learned and consequently have much harder lives than they need to be having.
Yes.
Like, this is the thing that I want you to. This biker is really catching my attention because what is he doing?
I don't know. He's got many blinking
he's
lights.
walking. I thought he was hopping on the seat. He's all lit up with like a backpack.
Yeah, it's a flashy
But
situation.
he's been lurking around the car for us. Okay, so anyways, it's like there's many adults who have not learned these things and consequently are living a much harder life than they need to be living. Like, this is just time. This is a great time to learn this thing.
Yeah.
One thing, we had a great lesson in what we call fishhook friends.
Okay.
Fishhook friends is people who bait the hook for you, and then when upon you have swallowed it, just pull you around. And usually that comes as like, you're my best friend, you're the best person to me, you're the nicest of all the girls. And then somebody's like, I am the nicest of all the girls, I am the best friend, and then they eat it. And then it's immediately like, I prefer her today. And then it's like suddenly this person is in control of everything because they just are passing out the baited hooks to everyone. But this is one of the reasons we say you're not allowed to have best friends. We say you're allowed to have best friends. You're not allowed to call them your best friends.
Oh, really?
This is with the little kids, little ones. Not, because we say It's okay for you to have a best friend, but the only reason to be giving and removing titles from people is things that we don't want you involved
Power
in.
tripping.
We say, you just need to say she's one of my buddies or she's one of my friends. This is one of my good friends.
We had one child who had a acquaintance who would keep a daily tally of what number she was at. You know, like today you're number 2.
You moved down.
Today you're
you
number
moved down
5.
my line.
Today you're
After
number
you
1.
sat by me at lunch, I moved you up a point. You're like,
Yeah.
what? There are people like this in the world.
There's adults like this in
Yes,
the world.
and that is something that we just say, that's a fishhook friend. And in fact, we have a...
On the other hand, I'm going to just say that there's always several ways to make a snort out of a situation. But I dislike it when people fuss about clicks. And
Oh, yeah.
because that one...
I had a child fuss about clicks.
well, I mean, adults fuss about clicks.
Yeah,
on
parents
behalf of their
are
children.
horrible about
Parents
that.
are the ones who fuss about clicks, in my opinion. And the thing is there is no sin
And
with
not
having-
preferring to play with your
well,
child.
Well, or just having a friend who's a better friend. There's no sin
Yeah.
there. There is a sin going around being a diva snotty girl to everyone.
But okay,
But
in
there's
preschool,
nothing wrong with
in
having a good
preschool,
friend.
Lena was like, nobody wants to play with me. Came home, this was the report. No one will play with me. And I'm feeling really, this is my little preschool girl.
Yeah.
Cute little peanut. She was so little. And it was like, they won't play with you? Like, no.
Oh man, let me
And
just
you
put
know
a
what I
snotty remark on
actually-
Facebook real
You know
fast.
what I actually said was, are you thinking like this about it? Because she's like, nobody wants to play with me. Nobody. And I was like, well, hot news. When you see someone standing there fussing, do you wish I could get in on that? I was like, seriously, if you go stand on the playground and look like you're having a hard time, I don't know how anyone would want to get involved with that. And I said, so this is your job. I was like, tomorrow, I don't care who plays with you. Nobody needs to play with you. And I was like, no, I want you to play alone for all I care. And I said, but you are going to make soup. Like, this is what you're doing at recess. You're going to make a bowl out of the pea gravel, which is the pea gravel on the playground.
Doing this.
And I was
big
like,
time.
you will collect leaves and things, and you are going to make soup. And then that day she came home, and I said, so did you make soup? And she was like, yeah. And I said, did anyone play with you? It was the entire preschool class. Everyone wanted to get in on the soup making.
I know.
It was such a good example of well, just do something.
Be a fun
people
person.
it was like, maybe be fun to be with, and people will want to be with you. But sitting around noticing that you didn't get the swing again, it's not fun. There's nothing to do there. So
No, but some girls rock that little tude until they try and build up a swirl of
no, they
people
tell
feeling
someone.
sorry for them.
They're like, I'm sad because she wouldn't play with me.
Right.
And then that kid
And then
has
they
to go tell that girl.
Right. And then they go pout in the corner until somebody comes over and says, why are you sad? And just well, I can't tell you because
Is it 'cause-
she's just being mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, and
We
so
tell our kids, stay away from the llamas.
the llamas are the worst.
Get
and I always,
away from the
I
llamas.
always told our kids, or our girls particularly, because Knox wouldn't have noticed if if there was a girl crying behind the bus because people were excluding her, he would not have known. But the thing is the girls all notice, and then they send an ambassador back there to find out, and then
And
I
then
always
they try
tell
to
my girls,
pacify
I'm like,
the girls who are...
whoever is crying in the corner behind the bus, don't go back there. I was like, don't feed the monster. Do not do it.
Never.
Not if,
Unproductive.
and I have to say, our kids are at a school where there is no bullying of the sort where somebody crying might actually be a real problem. The person
no,
crying,
I wouldn't say that it could never have been
No.
a problem.
but we knew the situation well enough to know this was a
This
girl.
was someone who liked this
She
problem.
liked this. She
Yeah.
liked the drama. She liked to whip up a cyclone of emotional.
Well, or
angst.
sometimes in little girls, someone will be the kind who just says, no, I'm going to be the mama bear. And then they stomp their feet and walk off and are angry. And at such a
And
time,
go
don't
somewhere
pursue.
else.
Do not pursue.
I was like Belle or Jemima or Hero, whoever the girl was in this moment, would be like, go find one of your boy cousins and catch bugs with him. Because
Make
I was
soup.
like, that will be far more profitable than finding out whatever
Oh, I know.
doom-filled
No,
thing is
don't
going
even
on.
look under that. Just don't even
Well,
check
and it's
it.
like, we would always say, don't feed the monster, because
Yeah.
the whole, that's what they're aiming for. Anyway, we've talked about this a long time.
We
I
have.
think we should wrap this puppy
But
up.
I was going to say, I did have something that I meant to say. I started to say that about the moms who don't know how to resist peer pressure while they still want that for their children. And I was going to say, it's the same thing with when we talk about you want your kids to be able to resist the lies that the world is dishing out to them. Moms are a major market share of the world's lies.
Oh, man.
Are going that direction. Like the
And
lies
Paul, in his uncouth way,
called us
Even-
gullible.
No, he even
He was
said
onto something
not
there,
to
wasn't
fall
he?
for the old wives' tales.
Oh my word, yeah. But there are so many crazy like industries devoted to this. You know, that I would think, and I guess I would just say magazines, Instagram, Pinterest, like there is so much of that while there's things that you could enjoy there is so many lies about what fitness is supposed to be like, what fashion is supposed to be like, what your home is supposed to be like, what your body should be like, what everything should be like. And if you have zero
Your
resistance...
marriage should be like.
Right, and if you have zero resistance to the lies that are coming to you, then you are in no position to be teaching your kids how to do it with theirs. And that
Because
if you constantly practice,
People seem
you
to
will be
think
far more equipped to teach
peer
it.
pressure only is when someone
Vamoose,
offers you
when
drugs. When someone offers you drugs, that's peer
I
pressure.
wasn't thinking, you're so right.
It's like, that's the peer pressure, but then we don't really see it when it is, but it's everywhere. It's like absolutely everywhere.
and that's okay. It's a lot of the time that's a good
And
thing
the
if
thing
it's
is,
positive
You
peer
could be
pressure.
a homeschooling mom living in the middle of nowhere and still be flunking on peer pressure.
I like that
You
idea.
know what I mean?
Yes, because it's actually hard to resist. It's hard to,
Yeah.
Anyways, but I just meant if you want to know that your children, like if you want to improve your children's chances of being savvy about the world's lies, get busy with the ones that you're currently believing. Like what things
true.
are you soaking in, even though you know it not to be profitable?
Meanwhile, one sort of downside I feel of doing this at night with the engine off is we don't know how long we've been talking. Let's check again.
Long enough?
Long enough. We haven't even given a tip and we're at, look where we are.
Ah, we're wasting your time, burning our midnight oil
So-
and wasting your time. Our tip was going to be about Christmas.
Yeah.
Speed tip of Christmas for us, Beck.
Speed tip. You said do a Christmas tradition.
Oh, yeah.
You go first because I didn't think of one when you said to think of one.
Okay.
Which one of your fun
I
ones?
make danishes for Christmas breakfast. We have homemade danishes.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That
Okay.
was, we're a young enough family that I have done a number of different things. And that was the one that stuck, like where
Right.
everyone was like, Christmas, it's homemade danishes. So
Right.
sometimes, right now we don't have a coffee table, so maybe I won't do this year. But I sometimes will set the coffee table. I put because we have the Christmas tree.
That's a fun
And
idea.
I set it, put a tablecloth on it, and set all these little
how
plates
cute.
all around it and cups and make it a cute.
Oh, I love that.
We make it a sit on your knees at the coffee table and eat danishes.
How fun.
That's
we
fun.
do. It hasn't happened every single year, but we always like it when it happens. Christmas Eve night, right before bed, I give everybody one present, which is something PJ oriented. It's like slippers or a bathrobe or new PJs or whatever. But they always have Christmas PJs from mom, so there's like, I kind of do something else, something
Right.
in that
like a
genre.
robe, yeah. Uh-huh.
So they get one right before bed, and we do champagne and chocolate.
Oh, that's
right
fun.
before they go to bed, Christmas Eve, and
That's
that's kind of
super
fun. As this sort of last thing, Christmas Eve night.
Yes,
Okay,
all
that's
right.
not really a tip. It's just a.
That's a
there
fun.
you
No, we
go.
said we would do
Now you
tradition.
know.
So we
All
thought
right.
it would be fun to stick with the Christmas theme from
Yeah.
now until.
Since we're in October.
Yep. Merry
since-
Christmas,
Since I'm
dear
already
listeners.
behind. I'm already behind on all of it.
All right. Good night.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
New St. Andrews College thanks you for listening.